The Galactic Empires believed the situation was under control. From the bridges of 1,000 warships, commanders looked out into the calm glow of interstellar space and felt only confidence. Their fleets moved in broad, disciplined formations near the edge of human-controlled territory, hulls gleaming, drives humming with measured power. To them, this was not an invasion. It was a reminder, a demonstration, a show of force meant to correct what they saw as growing human arrogance. Humans had become louder in recent cycles. They explored faster, built larger ships, and questioned borders that had stood unchallenged for centuries. To the empires, this behavior did not signal strength. It signaled impatience, youth, a species growing too quickly, forgetting its place. Command ships exchanged relaxed updates. Officers discussed supply schedules, patrol rotations, and which systems would be claimed next if negotiations failed. Some joked quietly about how dramatic humans could be when confronted. Others speculated about how long it would take before Earth sent envoys begging for revised terms. No one expected trouble. Then a single sensor flickered. At first, it was easy to dismiss, a weak return buried deep in background noise, barely noticeable amid the constant flow of data, too clean to be natural, too quiet to be a vessel. A junior sensor officer frowned and leaned closer to his display. He adjusted the scan range and ran the sweep again. The signal returned exactly the same. No transponder. No identification code. No active drive signature. Just presence. The officer hesitated before reporting it, carefully choosing his words. An unknown object. Stationary. Minimal output. Possibly debris. Possibly an old probe. The response from his superior came quickly and without concern. Log it. Monitor it. Move on. The fleets continued forward. But the signal stayed. It did not drift with stellar currents. It did not fade as scans shifted. It did not react to active sweeps or passive listening arrays. It simply remained, fixed relative to the fleet's movement, as if space itself had been marked. Minutes passed, then more. The junior officer checked again, this time increasing sensor sensitivity beyond recommended limits. The outline sharpened just enough to suggest structure, edges, symmetry. That report went higher. The senior commander frowned as the data appeared on his screen. Human technology was known for silence, but not this silence. Orders were issued to focus more sensors on the anomaly. Multiple ships aligned their arrays. Power levels rose. Engineers protested quietly as systems were pushed near strain thresholds. The results were unsettling. The object had mass. Enormous mass, enough to classify it as a capital vessel or larger, yet it produced no heat, no radiation, no detectable shield emissions. It existed as if it were refusing to participate in physics. Some commanders laughed it off. A trick, they said. Humans loved tricks. Others felt unease but said nothing. The fleets pressed deeper toward human territory. Stars shifted on navigation displays. The distance to Earth shortened. Still, the signal remained. It was no longer behind them. It was no longer ahead. It was simply there. Across several ships, sensor timing began to drift. Data packets arrived late by fractions of a second, too small to trigger alarms, too precise to ignore. Engineers blamed software lag. Analysts blamed background interference. No one blamed the signal. Then a second anomaly appeared. Brief, faint, almost invisible. A ripple in space near the first signal, like a disturbance beneath still water. It vanished before it could be fully logged. Silence returned, heavier than before. The junior officer felt something cold settle in his chest. This was no longer observation. This was measurement. The object was not watching them. It was watching how they reacted. He sent another report, flagged urgent. This time, it reached high command within moments. Patterns were forming, and patterns meant intent. Human behavior had always followed patterns, careful, methodical, deliberate. The object adjusted position slightly, not enough to register as movement in conventional terms, but enough to confirm control. It placed itself near the center of the advancing fleets, not blocking, not threatening. Present. A demand was transmitted on open channels. Unknown object, identify yourself, declare intent. There was no response. The signal did not strengthen, it did not weaken, it ignored them. That silence unsettled even the most confident leaders. Silence without fear meant certainty. A senior commander finally voiced what others avoided. This is not debris, this is not a probe, this is a ship. And if it was human, then humans already knew everything about this operation. The fleet slowed, not by official order, but by instinct. The unknown signal grew clearer, as if allowing itself to be noticed. Its outline resolved further, smooth, vast, purposeful, no visible weapons, no running lights, no insignia. A warship. The commander felt a cold realization sharpen into clarity. This ship was not meant to stop them. It was meant to mark the moment they crossed the line. They had not been challenged. They had been acknowledged. Silence spread across command decks. The unknown human warship had appeared without force, without words, and somehow that made it far more dangerous than any hostile broadcast. The fleet slowed further as the signal became impossible to ignore. Debris drifted, probes moved, but this presence remained exactly where it needed to be. Alien commanders ordered deeper scans. Every sensor band was pushed beyond safety margins. Systems strained, crews waited. The result was worse than nothing. The ship was enormous, larger than most known capital ships, larger than anything humans were believed capable of deploying alone, and yet it produced no heat, no drive signature, no shield glow. It existed in violation of expectation. A senior strategist whispered the possibility few wanted to hear. This is advanced human stealth, not concealment by absence, but concealment by control. The fleets adjusted formation slightly, testing the anomaly. The signal shifted with them perfectly. It did not follow. It repositioned. That was the moment doubt replaced confidence. The unknown object stopped pretending. Space around it distorted softly, like a slow breath, not violent, not bright, controlled. Layers of concealment folded away, not dramatically, but deliberately. A human warship stood revealed. Its hull was vast and smooth, darker than space itself, absorbing light instead of reflecting it. No markings, no banners, no visible weapons. Its design was alien even to those who had studied human engineering. It did not power engines. It did not advance. It simply was. Silence gripped every bridge. This was not a defender scrambling to respond. This ship had been here long before the fleets arrived. Threat evaluations failed. Mass readings spiked beyond expected limits. Classification systems returned errors. This is not a known class, an analyst said quietly. Some commanders laughed nervously. One ship against many. Human arrogance. Others felt something colder settle behind their eyes. The warship angled slightly, positioning itself at the center of their advance, not blocking escape, not issuing challenge. Controlling space. A formal demand was transmitted again. Identify yourself. State your purpose. The human ship did not reply. Instead, navigation data across the fleets updated without request. Optimal paths recalculated. Safe distances adjusted. Restricted zones appeared on displays. Human control protocols were active. The realization came slowly, then all at once. They were operating inside a human-managed zone. The unknown warship was not alone. Behind it, faint distortions shimmered, barely visible, gone if stared at too long. Suggestions of other shapes, other hulls. Hidden, waiting. They had not encountered a scout. They had reached a boundary. The senior commander understood then. This ship was not meant to fight them. It was meant to watch what they did next. A test. The fleets halted completely. Engines idled. Weapons remained cold. For the first time since the operation began, no one spoke of victory. The unknown human warship remained silent, present, patient. And the Galactic Empires began to realize their mistake. The fleets held position as tension coiled through every command deck. Officers whispered. Strategists recalculated. No one liked an unknown element inside formation, especially one that obeyed no known limitations. After long minutes, a limited probe launch was ordered. Not an attack, just information. A small unmanned drone detached and moved forward, its systems transmitting live telemetry. The moment it crossed an invisible boundary, the feed cut out. No explosion, no warning. The drone simply ceased to exist on their screens. Fear rippled across the fleet. That was not destruction. That was removal. The human warship had not fired a visible weapon, yet something had acted with absolute finality. Analysts scrambled to explain it. Signal capture, spatial displacement, electronic suppression. None of the theories fully fit. The message, however, was unmistakable. Humans could act. And humans could choose not to. A second probe was prepared, more advanced, shielded, autonomous. The senior commander watched it for several seconds, then cancelled the order. Testing further would only give humans more data. Across the fleets, internal communications quieted, confidence had evaporated, replaced by careful restraint. The human warship shifted position slightly, a small, almost courteous movement. Navigation systems recalculated instantly, restricted zones expanded, safe corridors narrowed. The fleets were being shaped, guided into positions they had not chosen. Another message was transmitted, firmer this time. Declare intent or withdraw. The response came at last. Not a voice. Data. A single transmission propagated across every channel: military, civilian, encrypted, open. Operational boundary confirmed. Nothing more. No threat. No explanation. The meaning was clear. Humans were not negotiating yet. They were defining space. A junior officer whispered what many felt. If this is the first response, what does the second look like? The question spread like coal through the command structure. Some commanders argued for immediate withdrawal. Others insisted on holding position to save face. Pride wrestled with survival. The human warship did nothing to force a decision. That patience felt calculated. Humans were not rushing because they did not need to. Time favored Earth. At last, a limited withdrawal was proposed. A step back, not retreat. The moment engines adjusted course, navigation systems updated again, restrictions eased, corridors cleared. Permission without asking. The fleet slowed their movement. Testing. The human warship remained silent. Compliance reduced pressure. Defiance, everyone now understood, would increase it. The Galactic Empires were no longer choosing the pace. The unknown human warship had taken control without firing a single shot. And in that quiet moment, regret took shape, not for retreating, but forever believing humans would respond the way they expected. The fleets withdrew slowly. Not chased. Not threatened. Simply allowed to leave. That permission weighed heavier than force. As distance increased, systems stabilized, control loosened, the invisible grip released. Reports were compiled carefully. No exaggeration, no denial. An unidentified human warship had appeared without warning. It had established control without combat. It had defined boundaries without words and ended an operation without battle. Those reports reached the Galactic Council within hours. Emergency sessions convened. Data filled the chamber. Sensor logs replayed again and again. The room was silent, not from confusion, but from clarity. They had misjudged humanity. The mistake was not tactical. It was an assumption. They had believed humans would react late, that humans would argue among themselves, that pressure would force negotiation. Instead, humanity had prepared in advance, defined space clearly, and acted the moment that space was tested. Models were run, alternatives explored, sanctions, alliances, escalation. All outcomes were the same. Any further action would occur on human terms, inside human-defined zones, at human timing. The Council voted not to pursue escalation. Not out of fear. Out of understanding. Humanity had not closed the door to diplomacy. They had simply locked it across the galaxy. Borders were redrawn. Exploration routes adjusted. Human space was marked clearly, not as hostile, but as decisive. Near Earth, the unidentified warship returned to silent watch. Human traffic flowed as usual. Trade lanes stayed open. Stations rotated on schedule. There were no parades, no broadcasts, no declarations of victory. For humanity, nothing unusual had occurred. A risk had been identified. Intent had been measured. A response had been executed with clarity. Alien observers noted the absence of celebration. No pride, no triumph. That restraint carried more weight than conquest. Within the withdrawing fleets, commanders shared a quiet understanding. The ship had not appeared to threaten them. It had appeared to give them a choice. Leave with dignity. Or stay and lose it. They had chosen wisely. Historians would later mark this moment not as a war or a treaty, but as a correction. They would write that the Galactic Empires lost no ships that day. They lost certainty. And in its place, they gained knowledge. That humanity did not need to announce power. It only needed to stand in the right place, at the right time, and let the galaxy realize its mistake.